Designer Nuria Casellas debuted in 2018 with the game Endless Pass from WizKids, and now in 2019 she is the lead editor at Cucafera Games, which is debuting with Zoom in Barcelona, which is where Cucafera Games is located, not coincidentally I'm sure. This game is co-designed by Casellas, Joaquim Velauta, and Eloy Polleros. It's a 2 to 6 player game in which you are photographers racing around the city, taking pictures in a competition, with the judges telling you what you can take pictures of, and you trying to score as best you can, preferably just taking the most photos as quickly as possible. So here's how this works. Here are the components in Zoom in Barcelona, set up for a 2-player game. The city of Barcelona is divided into 8 areas. Each player has a starting location determined on the camera that they drew at random from one of the 6 cameras available. We have a dragon set up. Apparently, there are more than 400 dragons as architectural features in Barcelona. I did not know this. And so each area has a dragon location, and you get a bonus when you visit the dragon. You have a number of landmark tiles. You have 4 photos that the judges initially want you to take pictures of, or at least 4 locations. And the areas have a number of different locations highlighted on them, and there is 1 card for each of these locations in the deck. Each player has a set of 3 transportation cards, which have values from 3 to 6. And on a turn, you are going to move and then take an action. So, assuming that's possible. So you look at your starting location. On a turn, you can move 2 spaces just walking, or play one of your transportation cards to get somewhere more quickly, which is usually a better thing to do. So I can spend this card, move 4 spaces, end up on this 7 area in Saint-Montjuic, and collect this fountain. Now this fountain has both the location, so you can find it on the map and know where it is, what you're trying to reach, and each card has 1 or 2 themes on it. The game has 12 theme tokens. You put out 2 at random, and you will score extra points if you collect a card that has 1 or both of these themes. Each card that you collect is a base value of 3 points, as indicated on your camera, and you get 1 additional point for each theme you have. So this is a 4-point card. I put it in front of me, and we turn up a new card from the deck. Oh, another location that's right near me. So on my next turn, probably going to walk here, collect this. And we continue. Now there's other things you can do aside from collecting these images. You can visit an eye location, and that relates to the transport, where you can discard any cards you don't want. I'll discard this 3 since the values of these cards range from 3 to 6, and I refill my hand to 3. That's the only way to get more movement cards. You can spend a card and move to a landmark location, and you'll collect that and put it in front of you. There are 1 to 4 landmark tiles put on the board based on the number of players. There are fewer tiles than the number of players in the game, so some people will be shut out and not able to collect them. You score points based on the number of landmarks you collect. Simple set collection value here. You can land on a metro space. And if you land on the metro, then you can go to one of the other 4 locations on the board. If you land on the dragon space, let's say I play another movement card and land here, I can take a picture of my choice, a landmark token of my choice, or I can throw those cards away because none of them work for me and turn up 4 new ones. Or maybe someone else is about to score and I want to deny them. You then draw a new card, and the dragon goes to a new location where no one else is located. So now you can visit it over here and get another bonus. You are racing to collect photos, and the game ends as soon as someone collects 8 photos in front of them. You then score points for the photos you've collected, 3 to 5 points for each of those photos. You score points for the landmarks you've collected, and whoever has the most points wins. I played Zoom in Barcelona 7 times on a review copy from Cucafera Games, all 2-player games with my exchange student Lisa, who's been super helpful in helping me preview as many Spiel 19 releases as possible. You have to keep in mind the Zoom in the name, because this is a race game in which you are trying to collect those photos as quickly as possible. The landmark tiles score, and the more of them that you collect, the better the value of that set. But even 3 landmark tokens is worth only 7 points, which is usually the value of 2 photos. So you need 3 stops to get those landmarks versus 2 to get the photos. And yes, potentially you have to move around more to get the photos, but they are generally worth it. You often want to spend the transportation cards as quickly as you can because initially we hoarded them thinking they were rare because you didn't draw more unless you hit one of the information points, but those information points are all around the board. So often you can just spend, and then refill your hand to reload and just zoom out again as quickly as possible to get the photos. There's an advanced game though. It changes things a little bit because you have to travel to more locations on the board that are not under your control. Here's the layout for the full game of Zoom in Barcelona, which differs from the basic game in only 3 ways. In addition to the locations that the judges want you to visit, with those locations coming and going as people take shots of them and forcing you to scurry all over the board, aside from those locations, there are 4 locations down here on a natural light challenge. And the judges want you to take pictures at sunrise and high noon and sunset and the middle of the night. This track represents the course of your day. You can think of this game taking place all in one day, and you must visit this location first before you visit the next one and the next one and the next one. If you don't take any of these photos, then none of your pictures are worth anything. As soon as you advance to the first location, then 2 of your photographs will score at the end of the game. Advance here, now 4 score, and if you want all 8 to score, then you need to advance to the end. But of course, now you're actually visiting 12 locations instead of just 8. So it's going to take longer to see everything. There's also competition to reach those particular spaces, not because you get some bonus from getting there first, but because each player can only occupy 1 space. So on a turn, if I start, we rewound to the beginning of the game, and now I'll play a movement card of 4, and head to the metro to jump here, and maybe on my next turn I can just walk to 7 and advance on this track. Turn after that, I'll play another movement card, go down to 2, and I can advance on here, and now I have the potential to score 4 photographs, even though initially I have no photographs. But the potential, that's what matters here, at least initially. So in addition to the natural light challenge, we now have a zoom that is on the camera. So you're not just zooming around the board, but you are also zooming to take pictures, because if I am on this spot and the red player has already visited 7, they cannot land on 2 on their turn because I'm already there, but they can use the zoom feature, lower it by 1 to represent the 1 distance they are from this location, and now they can take this photo as well. You have at most 3 points of zoom for the entire game, and when that's gone, you can zoom no more. Except on the board, of course. The third element relates to the landmark tiles. So instead of just collecting them and scoring for the set, you're going to get a little piece of paper that has them in order, and you're going to score points based on what you've collected in order. So it's not enough for me to get the Sagrada Familia and to get this building, because those are not adjacent to one another on my score sheet here, and they would be worth 1 point each because they would be considered distinct groups. Instead, I'd have to go collect this, and now these 3 are adjacent to one another, and they would count as 1 group and score 7 points. So it's a bit more complicated to collect the landmarks and score for them because you need things grouped together, which might have you hustling all around the city to different spots. The game still ends the same way. Someone collects 8 pictures, and you then score for your points, with players scoring based on how much they've collected on the natural light track and how they group their landmarks based on their particular card. As I mentioned before, I played Zoom in Barcelona 7 times, 4 times with the advanced version of the game, which changes things up a bit since you have to visit particular locations in order to score anything, although you can kind of switch around and focus on landmarks, where they didn't matter as much in the base game, or at least by comparison with the photographs, but now with the additional challenge of you needing to go somewhere in order to score for photos at all, sometimes it will make sense to score landmarks, where I've scored 30 points for getting a big group of landmarks all together and then a few for photos as well, and that was enough to win. So it changes things just because of the restrictions and the hoops you have to jump through in order to make progress on the natural light track, which may have you zipping over to different locations where there's no photos nearby. So you're scoring in order, or you're advancing in order to score without actually scoring. There is a luck element in the game, whether you play the basic or the advanced version, based on the cards that come up and the judges' picks. You may have something that's right near your starting point, and so you can immediately take a photo, and you're off to the races, scoring points ahead of everyone else. Or you collect something and then another card gets flipped right near you. It definitely happens, and you luck out. With more players, you'd have more competition for particular things. The dragon would be hopping around more, just because more people would be going to it. Again, I played only 2 players so far, just based on what's available to me in terms of players, as I try to preview as many titles as possible. So there is a luck element, but we've been playing through it quite a bit, and you can make luck a little bit more for yourself just by, again, pressing on with the transport cards, playing them as quickly as possible, keeping yourself in good locations, not being shy about jumping on the metro and going off to something else, and trying to scoop something from someone else so that they have wasted their time to get something. That's the nature of the photography game, right? Got to get those scoops ahead of someone else. Try to collect the cards as quickly as you can, and either way you play, so that you can score the most points by the end of the game. There you go. Quick overview of Zoom in Barcelona.